are mental health disorders or psychological disorders. Those are disorders that originate in the mind, that are caused by the dysfunction that happens in the brain, whether it's due to brain chemicals or physiological damage to the brain that results in the disorder. So the disorders are like depression falls under that, psychosis where the patient actually has difficulties with distinguishing between what's real and what's not real, schizophrenia, those are the people that hear voices, etc., bipolar disorder, eating disorders, personality disorders, emotional disorders, and behavioral difficulties, as well as cognitive issues. All those fall under psychological disorders. Those are the issues that we're going to be dealing with in this forum. All right. So once we have a psychological disorder, in my opinion, it is important to deal with the correct specialist for that particular disease. Now, there are a lot of professionals under the mental health umbrella or the mental health category of illnesses, and it's imperative that you see the correct specialist to be able to deal with that issue. For example, when we get ill, I always say this, when we get ill, who's our first port of call? It will be our GP, our doctor. That's the first person we consult with, and we go, here are issues that I'm experiencing. But a medical doctor, in essence, is trained to treat the physiological part of our bodies. Our bodies work in conjunction with our brains. Our brains control most of our functions. If you think about it, our brains control blinking, our brains control movement, our brains control our breathing, our heart rate. Every kind of function, body function that the doctor would be dealing with is actually controlled in our brains. But when we go and consult with the doctor, they are trained to deal with the physiological part of your functioning. But there's a huge difference between how the brain functions compared to how the physiological body functions. So the brain is different in function, or has a different function compared to the body. In the body, you have blood and blood vessels that carry oxygen. You have the same in the brain. However, the brain's main function are chemicals and chemistry, which interacts with each other and sends signals that help the brain to function properly. When we have a psychological disorder or any disease related to the brain, it's because the communication has broken down between the cells in the brain, the neurons in the brain, or there's a dysfunction in the secretion of neurotransmitters or brain chemicals, so to speak. So when we have difficulties, for example, with psychological disorders or mental health issues, and we approach a doctor or a general practitioner, he or she is unable to treat the brain as they would the physiological body. So they would often refer you to a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist is a medical professional who is trained as a medical doctor and then specialized in psychological studies postgraduate. So that person, though, is in essence a medical doctor, and they are able to give therapy, but also dispense medication. In other words, they are able to prescribe medication for you. They are able to advise you in terms of how to take your medication, etc., because they are medical doctors.